everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Tales of Testing. My name is Sandy Hogg. I'm the business manager here at ITS, and I'm joined today by my colleague Ryan Howard, solutions portfolio manager at ITS. Welcome to Tales of Testing, Ryan. Can you introduce yourself?
Super excited to be here. Thanks, Sandy. And thanks for the opportunity to talk about continuous learning. My name is Ryan Howard. As Sandy said, I'm the portfolio manager at ITS, and my main responsibility here is really working with our partners to implement and grow their longitudinal assessment and continuous learning assessments.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. All right, so we've got some exciting conferences coming up this fall, the ABMS conference and ICE. And I know that continuous learning is going to be a popular topic at both of these conferences. I feel like actually there have been sessions about continuous learning over the last several years at ATP and other industry events. So before we go any further in this discussion, can you tell us, Ryan, what exactly is this concept of continuous learning that we keep hearing about, and why are you excited about it?
Well, great question. So continuous learning, or some of you may have heard it referred to as continuous recertification or continuous practice, is our ITS's next generation system for practice, recertification, and test prep. So traditionally, many recertification or maintenance of certification programs were designed to be delivered at testing centers, years apart, let's just say every 10 years. Well, technology, medicine, just the world in general, is advancing so quickly that it really doesn't make sense to gauge
Mm,
someone's skills or abilities once every 10 years. So
mhm,
what this system does is it helps testing programs, move away from that point in time assessment and instead spaces out that assessment over time and provides more flexibility to take questions on the go. The system also, and I'm super excited about this part, really deeply embeds learning opportunities, learning content, and candidate visibility into their performance within the assessment to make the assessment more engaging. Test takers are not just assessing their knowledge and demonstrating their proficiency, but they're also identifying and filling knowledge gaps, which really personalizes the experience.
wow, that sounds wonderful. Hear you say things like flexibility and engagement, and also spacing out assessment sounds like it takes some of the pressure off too. Um, so I'm really interested. You mentioned learning here. I'd love to hear more about this learning aspect. You said the system embeds learning with assessment. What does that mean exactly?
Well, it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So, this concept is really at the core of continuous learning. Our system has many, many configuration options for partners to choose from of how they want to promote learning or integrate learning through assessment. So, take our adaptive algorithm as an example. If test takers will get a question incorrect or answer a question with, say, low confidence, they might be presented with an opportunity to retake that question or retake a variation of that question or retake a question in that same content area later to try to reinforce, that learning experience. They get to spend more time on topic areas that they might be struggling with and see how their performance improves, over time. We have an out of the box, learning algorithm, and we also support tools for programs to build their own learning algorithms for
Wow.
redelivery of items. But then another way to promote learning is to integrate supplemental learning content directly into the testing platform. So this content, can be in the form of journal articles, videos, study guides, key learning points, summaries, the sky's really the limit. And this content can be made available directly in the test at test questions, answer a question, and you get to learn about that question, as well as outside of the test and can tie back to that specific question or that topic area that the candidate is about to see, or they can see that they're struggling in. So we're really excited, to support many a different continuous learning programs because it's really showing that learning and assessment can run in parallel.
Wow. Yes, more like two sides of the same coin rather than
Mhm.
different things. So interesting. So this type of testing model does seem like it could have a lot of applications. I know you've mentioned practice and recertification. So I'm really curious to know, how is it being used today?
Well, we've seen a lot of medical boards really embrace this model. There's many other opportunities for, this model, but medical boards have really, jumped on it, where instead of their traditional and expensive once in 10-year maintenance of certification assessment that nearly every medical board requires, the boards are opting for a more lower stakes longitudinal approach. So, for example, every board takes it a little bit differently, which is great because one size doesn't fit all. But basically, their candidates answer a certain number of questions periodically, let's just say quarterly, from the comfort of their own home or office. We approach this platform with mobile first in mind.
Hmm.
So boards might want a specific set of questions to be delivered in each period. Some boards might allow for candidates to select which topic areas will be included in their assessment, whereas other boards might opt for a more adaptive approach where items are pulled from a larger pool and candidates, specifically based off of candidates' performance and their specific feedback on the item. So the system is really configurable and supports a wide range of program designs. So the possibilities are really endless. But one of the benefits of the shift, at least we're seeing in the medical industry, is that allows boards and candidates, test takers, to keep the content, to keep the learning material more up to date with constantly evolving concepts. You test once every 10 years, you're just proving that you know that year. If you're testing 9 questions a quarter and those quarters are written every quarter or every 6 months or every year, you're able to stay relevant in your industry.
Wow, and that seems pretty important for the medical industry, right? Wow.
Definitely.
Great. That's really interesting that this, continuous learning testing model can take on such different forms even within the same industry. All the things you were listing off. I'm sure that we could talk for hours about the different kinds of program designs that you're seeing, but that's a conversation for another day, Ryan. All right, so we've learned a little bit more about continuous learning and how it's being applied today. So I'd love to know what's to come. What's next for this assessment model?
Yeah, I really think continuous learning is the way of the future, not just for the medical space. We're always talking to, our partners and keeping a lookout for new features to integrate into our product suite. Some things on the horizon are, integrations with other learning management systems or generating study materials such as note
Great.
cards based off of assessment questions. And since the concept is really building on the foundation of learning and assessment, the sky's the limit.
Oh, wow. That all sounds really exciting. Very cool. We'll keep an eye out for all of those things. All right. So we're just about out of time. But before we wrap up, do you have anything that you want to leave this audience with?
It's a great question. I think the one takeaway is acknowledging that any transition to a new testing model or methodology can be really intimidating. But the
Hmm.
benefit of this model is that you can determine how simple or complex you want your continuous learning program to be. You don't have to have hundreds of items in your item bank in order to use a continuous learning platform. You can start out small with a fixed form of questions and perhaps scale up from there. Maybe one day you'll have a, robust item pool with hundreds of items in it and move to dynamic item delivery. But you don't have to start there and you don't have to end there. You're not locked into one design, and we'll work with you to determine like what's the right fit for you.
Hmm.
And if you're curious to know more, again, I could talk about this for days. Come find me at the upcoming ABMS and ICE conferences this fall. Either come to the booth, come to one of our sessions, stop me in the hallway. I'm always happy to talk about this.
Wonderful. Oh, Ryan, that's great advice. Thank you once again so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time and looking forward to the next time we get to chat.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thanks.